Halo Reach is considered by many to be Bungie's magnum opus, their final game and debated as their best, making waves across the gaming community and serving as childhood classic for millions of teenagers and young adults alike. This game was well beloved for revolutionizing Halo multiplayer, advancing on the things like Forge World, and introducing several new items, mechanics, and lore, some of which would only be seen in Halo Reach exclusively. But despite all that, the game is most iconic for one thing above all: its heartbreaking, tear-tugging story. In this video, I'm going to be going over the entire story of Halo Reach and delving into what makes it so good. Obviously, spoilers ahead. The game starts out with the player customizing their own Spartan. Reach was the first Halo game where we got to play as a Spartan that's not the Master Chief, so having this option was really cool, and I'm glad they took advantage of this component to have this. As the first cutscene in the game, talk about foreshadowing. The first mission of the game is just a cutscene in where we are introduced to our cast of characters. The player is a Spartan known only as Noble 6. The leader of Noble Team is Carter, or Noble 1. Kat is Noble 2 and serves as the hacker and lead tech girl. She's also my favorite member of Noble Team. June, Noble 3, is a sniper and recon specialist. Emil and George, 4 and 5, are CQB and heavy weapon experts, and 6 is the jack of all trades. Right off the bat, Carter shows that he is a strong leader in just a few lines of dialogue, and the game makes clear what kind of situation 6 is in and what kind of person Carter is.
Not gonna lie to you, Lieutenant. You're stepping into some shoes the rest of the squad would rather leave unfilled. Me, I'm just happy to have Noble back up to full strength. Just one thing, I've seen your file, even the parts the ONI sensors didn't want me to. I'm glad to have your skill set. But we're a team. That lone wolf stuff stays behind. Clear?
Got it, sir. Welcome to Reach.
I'm going to mention this about 100 times throughout the video, but where Reach's story thrives is through its cutscenes. In just a few lines, we get shown how Carter is a good leader, and that 6 is clearly a highly skilled Spartan who's had some issues working with teams. Noble Team gets assigned a mission to investigate a downed relay in the area and find the culprits, as well as locate some soldiers who are also given the same mission but have gone missing. On the way to the relay, George asks about why the rebels would shut down the Ionis's comms. He's assuming it's rebels because no one knows the Covenant is on Reach at this point, and it doesn't make sense for the rebels to do so. Something this mission tries hard to do is make the player wait for the Covenant to show up, keeping us on our toes and building suspension since the players know the Covenant will show up. We're just waiting for when. We start the mission investigating the area as to what happened. Noble Team comes across some farmers that tell George that something in the fields killed one of the farmers' sons last night, which leads them to the missing soldiers, but no sign of who killed them, until they eventually encounter Covenant. It's important to note that for majority of the time, if Covenant presence was found on a planet, that meant doom for that planet. Humanity wasn't just losing the war, they were dying as a race, and now to find out that the Covenant is not only on humanity's military HQ, but were also somehow there undetected for who knows how long, is truly terrifying. After killing Covenant and aiding some Marines, the team finally goes to the relay to try and fix it, where they encounter elite zealots. George and 6 manage to kill 2, but 1 gets away. Kat then tells Carter that the relay suffered plasma damage and would need weeks to be repaired. George ends up finding a girl hiding, and here we get to see some of the things that sets George apart from his fellow Spartans. He shows immense sympathy and care for this civilian, and clearly has a deep understanding of Reach as a society, as he recognizes her accent and guesses where she's from. Moving on, Kat does end up getting a temporary comm link to Colonel Hone, so Carter can notify him of this situation. His response in this scene feels perfectly appropriate.
Barely getting you. What's your situation? Over?
Colonel, this is Noble 1. There are no rebels. The Covenant are on Reach. Acknowledge?
Come again, Noble 1. Did you say Covenant?
Affirmative. It's the winter contingency.
May God help us all.
Something I will note that Bungie could have done better was the actual first encounter with the Covenant. Like I said, this is worst case scenario for humanity, but initially it doesn't really feel that way. I felt more scared in the cutscene with the Zealots than I did for the first time when I saw the Covenant, and I'm pretty sure Noble Team felt the same. If Bungie had made this cutscene be the first time Noble Team encountered Covenant on Reach, that would have made everything about this mission feel so much better, since then the Covenant would have felt consistently threatening from the very first second on screen. The next mission, Onu Sword Base, kicks us right into the action. The Covenant has attacked an Office of Naval Intelligence base, and it's Noble's job to defend the base. Six and Cat land in and do some badass shit before regrouping with the rest of the team in the building. We assist Emil with blowing up bad guys, and we end the mission watching as an orbital strike hits a cruiser that was assaulting the base. Noble Team then gets orders to meet with Dr. Catherine Halsey, an Oni scientist who was responsible for the Spartan 2 program. For those who don't know, there are 4 different Spartan programs that were created over the course of the Human Covenant War. Spartans like Master Chief and George are Spartan 2s, while all the rest of Noble Team are Spartan 3s. Spartan 2s were taken as children and picked for their very specific genetic screening. Of the 75 children that were kidnapped, only 45 of those survived the training and genetic altering of the program, with only 33 of that 45 surviving in a non-crippled state fit for duty, while Spartan 3s weren't picked for their precise genetics, but rather simply orphans. Because of this, many more Spartan 3s survived and were in service, but because of much less intense training and alteration, Spartan 3s were typically less efficient compared to Spartan 2s. It's also important to note that all Spartan 2s were from Reach and saw it as their home, as well as Halsey as their mother-like figure. We see this clearly in how George and Dr. Halsey talk, as well as George's sentiment and love for Reach and all its people, while this isn't the case for the rest of Noble Team, as Spartan 3s were from all over the outer colonies and Halsey wasn't involved in the programs. Noble Team reports to Halsey about her team that was killed in Visegrad Relay. Kat returns a device that she stole from the scientists, and Halsey and Carter threaten each other for interfering with each other's work. Noble Team then leaves, and the mission ends. The next mission, Nightfall, opens up with June and Six climbing some cliffs in the dark. They're here to go behind enemy lines and recon the Covenant's numbers. Overall, I would have to say this is my least favorite mission, just for the sole reason that the sniper in Halo Reach shoots marshmallows. After going deeper into the valley, Six and June run into some rebels. Everyone was meant to be evacuated from the area, but given how they were already fighting the UNSC before the Covenant showed up, I don't think anyone was really expecting them to leave their homes just because the government told them to. We end up helping the rebels, and they give us supplies and intel in return.
So we came back for this. We have them hidden all over the territory.
You know, this stuff is stolen.
What, you gonna arrest me?
No, I'm gonna steal it back.
I love humanity. Continuing into the valley, Noble 3 and 6 find some unknown Covenant structure that June places an explosive on just for safe measure. And after pushing a little more in, we finish the mission by discovering that the Covenant have somehow had a whole invading army on the planet without anyone knowing. Now knowing this, Noble Team then plans an assault and the mission ends. The next mission, Tip of the Spear, starts out with a large battle. Turns out the pillars that we found from the last mission served as some sort of cloaking device for the Covenant. It's how they've been able to be on the planet for so long undetected, but now they've been properly revealed themselves and are attacking the planet from multiple points simultaneously. Reach, without doubt, is under attack, and the UNSC is doing all it can to counter the Covenant forces. Kat then blows up the spire that we found in the last mission using the explosive that June had placed, and then she almost kills herself in 6. This is the mission where the game story really begins to make a shift in theme. Up until this point, the story has just been Noble Team going around killing Covenant and blowing stuff up wherever is needed. But this mission is where the game really kicks into drive, and we actually start to get a memorable story of the fall of Reach. I know it's not ideal for a story to actually start 1/3 of the way through the plot, but in Reach's case, it works to serve as a way for the player to get a feel for Noble Team, the planet, and most importantly, it gives the player a lot of hope that some way, somehow, Noble Team is going to end up saving the planet. I mean, after all, in all the previous Halo games, we've had one Spartan saving the entire universe multiple times over, so it's not crazy to think that a team of Spartans could save a planet. Anyways, getting back to the mission, after recovering from the crash, Six and Cat take down some anti-air guns and then get picked up by George to attack a much larger Covenant spire. They make the great idea to enter an unknown energy field only to immediately suffer the consequences of that choice by crashing. Once again, Six is somehow the luckiest man alive, surviving the crash without a scratch, and together with George, they bring down the spire's shields. Six then does a cliche action jump that was entirely unnecessary, and we get the cutscene that single-handedly changes the entire theme for the rest of the game.
Get us out of here. Control, this is Noble 1. Spire 1 is green and you're free to engage. Have a nice day.
Copy that, Noble 1. Be advised, all ground units. Frigate 318 Heavy is inbound, and MAC rounds have been authorized.
MAC rounds? In atmosphere?
One way to get their attention. Hang on to your teeth, people.
Somebody tell me this ain't happening.
UNSC frigate Grafton, do you copy?
Grafton is dust. We need to get out of here now.
George's reaction in this cutscene gets me every time. It's like he's in a nightmare and he's begging someone to wake him up, only he knows that what he's witnessing is real, and he's absolutely horrified. Carter, as always, being the great leader that he is, doesn't let the fear overcome him and immediately is giving out orders on what to do next. Another reason why I absolutely love the cutscenes in Halo Reach is that despite just being for a video game, the cinematography in these moments is incredible. The shot of the camera slowly panning up and around to reveal the true scale of the Covenant's supercarrier, showing it wrapping around the planet, is daunting, and it's a great way to emphasize to the player the true magnitude of how absolutely screwed Noble Team is. So far throughout the game, all we've been doing is kicking the Covenant's ass, but this is where that ends. Now, a lot of people are going to die, and the rest of the game is just hammering the nails into the coffin. After what they have just witnessed, Noble Team hides in a cave and waits for their orders. Their combat AI Dot informs them that half the UNSC fleet has been sent to Reach, but the earliest ships won't even arrive for another 48 hours. Humanity has used all their resources on Reach to try and destroy that supercarrier, but nothing has worked, and now they're helpless just waiting for backup. Nothing is leaving the planet with that ship still in the air, so they're trapped. As to where it came from, it turns out that the pillar that we destroyed in the last mission was part of a cloaking system that was hiding the ship on Reach for weeks. The fact that the Covenant were hiding a 22-kilometer ship on humanity's second most secure base in the entire galaxy is once again truly terrifying. While in the cave, Kat starts telling Carter about a plan she has on how they can destroy the supercarrier. Her plan involves using a purposely malfunctioning slip space drive that essentially acts as a nuke that they can use on the Covenant. Carter makes a really good counterpoint, but Kat did her homework.
So, all we need is orbit-capable transport and the single most expensive piece of equipment made by man.
As a soldier in the field, I couldn't possibly have access to those kinds of resources. That said, a good place to look might be, I don't know, the nearest non-existent launch site in the non-existent Saber program dismissed by 3 administrations as preposterous rumor, and in which our newest member was certainly never a pilot.
You're scary. You know that.
All we need is a green light from Holland.
Good luck with that.
You're the one asking him.
After getting the green light from Colonel Holland, Noble Team goes to the shuttle launch station to get Noble 6 and George into orbit. Once again, we get treated to some more beautiful cinematography. After defending the station carrying a slip space drive, the duo then assault the Covenant Corvette, and after getting the slip space drive onto the Corvette, they commandeer the bridge and set its course to embark the capital ship on a refueling run. The plan is that once the Corvette is near the supercarrier, they'll activate the slip space drive and bye-bye Covenant. Only something goes wrong, because of course it has to. The Covenant destroyed the sabers that they took to get onto the ship, which means the only way off is gravity. What's worse is that due to some damage, the slip space timer has been fried and the bomb is going to have to be activated manually, which as Six puts it,
Bad news is, time is fried. I'm gonna have to fire it manually.
That's a one-way trip.
We will make it sooner or later.
George doesn't even question it, picking up Six and chucking him off the Corvette. He destroys the capital ship and saves the planet. After some time, the last of the Covenant is driven away from Reach, and George is forever remembered as a hero. Except, no. Moments after George's sacrifice, 3 more Covenant capital ships show up with a whole fleet ready to destroy the planet. George's death was for nothing, and now the planet is truly doomed. The absolute horror of the UNSC witnessing this, added with Marty's perfect score.
Gamma station control, reading multiple pings below the orbital defense
Slip
grid.
space rupture detected.
Yeah, we're picking up anomalies too. Are you reading it? Multiple Covenant signals. They're everywhere. Yeah, the whole damn Covenant
Slip
fleet.
space rupture detected.
This cinematic was an iconic moment for possibly millions. It matches really well with the very first E3 announcement trailer for Reach.
Reading multiple pings below the orbital defense grid. Oh, this can't be happening. There's no mistake. It's them. Winter contingency has been declared. All units are mobilized and ready.
This is Sierra 320, prep for combat insertion.
What the hell was that? We're coming in hot. Hold on. We just lost our bird.
Oh my god. What the hell is happening down there?
Down here.
Getting just dropped off my map.
Overrun. We'll hold this position as long as we can. I need you in that fight, Noble One. Noble One, come in.
Showing that this moment of doom and hopelessness is really the main theme of the whole game, and the next mission only doubles down on that. Mission 6, Exodus, starts off with probably my second favorite shot of the entire game. I really meant it about this game's beautiful cinematography. It feels like every cutscene has a moment that's worthy enough to be a wallpaper. After getting up from his probably very long fall, Six collects his bearings and starts walking. He keeps walking until he finds the city of New Alexandria, which is currently getting pummeled by the Covenant. Remember, 3 new fleets have just shown up, so now the planet is getting destroyed even worse than before. This entire mission is just Six assisting Marines and trying to evacuate civilians wherever he can. And its purpose is just to show how screwed Reach is at this point. Many times throughout Exodus, we fail to help people in time and witness hundreds die around us, and this is happening at all points across Reach. It's not just this city. Millions are dying every single hour, and humanity is truly helpless. It's gotten so bad that the Marines themselves have orders to evacuate from the planet. The UNSC would rather sacrifice hundreds of millions of civilians if it meant they could save millions of soldiers and thousands of ships and other military hardware. After assisting some civilian evacuation shuttles, Noble 2 contacts Noble 6. Turns out Noble Team had picked up his transmitter around an hour ago, but they couldn't risk open communication. Kat mentions that she's not picking up anything from George, and Six tells her that he didn't make it. She then sends out transport to come pick Six up, and it's time to move on to my favorite mission. After reuniting with Carter, he gives Six a mission to go out and take down some jammers in the city. Six makes a comment to Carter that he's sorry that he came back alone, and Carter, like the strong leader he is, holds no resentment or guilt towards Six, and he tells him simply to make George proud. We'll get into how the team handles George's death in a minute, but for now, we have to take out some communication jammers. This mission is pretty unique as we're given the same 3 objectives every time, but there are a list of 2 other side objectives that have 16 different versions, not to mention the 3 main objectives changing the order in which you do them every time you replay the mission. The choice of switching up each playthrough and making the mission feel much less linear is a very interesting choice, and it makes New Alexandria feel like a very unique and special mission. Not to mention that you spend most of the time in a Falcon. From a gameplay perspective, New Alexandria is my favorite just because of how different it is and really how it just likes to switch things up. Something I'll get into in the next mission especially is Reach's use of environmental storytelling. We're in the exact same city as last mission and only a few hours have passed by, but it's instantly clear how much more destruction has happened, and it barely feels recognizable. In the last mission, Six was on the ground, the sun was out, and most of the architecture was relatively intact, but now it's nighttime, we're far up in the air, and all around us there's fire and destruction. In fact, after each main objective you complete, you can witness a Covenant destroyer entering the city and glassing it. You can literally feel the ship's power vibrating through your controller as it flies over you and starts destroying the city from afar. It's a crazy detail that's both terrifying and beautiful to witness, and yet it's completely unnecessary for the mission and impacts absolutely nothing. But when you notice it, it can feel perfectly fitting and only elevates the environment and the story. Anyways, after destroying the 3 jammers and returning to the team, we get treated to my personal favorite cinematic in the entire game. In fact, I love the cinematic so much, I'm just going to play the entire thing. Then I'm going to delve into analyzing it.
Look at this place. Used to be the crown jewel. Not anymore. Hey, you made it.
It's a regular family reunion. Keep him. I gave him to you. I'll honor him my own way.
George always said he would never leave Reach.
The big man was sentimental.
He gave his life thinking he'd just save the planet. We should all be so lucky.
Sir, that true about Gauntlet Red and Echo teams assigned to civilian evac ops?
Those are senior level communiques.
I hear what I hear. Point is, why put Spartans on defensive deployments?
I need that link to SATCOM, Cat.
Chasing it. but this console's got more shrapnel in it than transceivers. You didn't answer my question.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost. Colonel Holland, hailing us. What's he doing on an open channel?
Let's hear it.
In the southwest quadrant of the city. Over. Sierra 259. If you are receiving, I am authorizing override of radio security protocols to link with this channel.
How long for a secure link?
I can't guarantee secure anymore.
Could Covenant trace it to us?
I could.
Noble Leader, this is a Priority 1 hail. If you are receiving, acknowledge immediately.
Keep it brief.
Carter here. Yes, sir.
We got movement. Multiple Covenant vehicles vacating the area. And they're in a hurry.
How often you see Covenant retreat for no reason?
Radiation flare. Big. 40 million root guns.
Just lost Holland. What's going on?
Atomic excitement scrambled the signal. 90 million now.
Source?
Airborne. Close.
How close?
That close! First glassing? Me too. Don't worry, I'm on it. Our best option is a fallout bunker on sub-level 2. 96 meters northeast. We get orders from Holland, sir?
We're being redeployed to Sword Base.
Sword? Covenant own it now!
Which is why they want us for a torch and burn op. Keep Dr. Halsey's excavation data from falling into enemy hands.
It hasn't already.
Maybe, but according to Holland, the Covenant are still hunting for something.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a Priority 1?
Come on, get in!
Let's go! Come on!
So, wow. Okay. Let's start from the top. Immediately, we get to see the team's reactions to losing a member. Most of them are keeping to themselves, but Emil, who seems to have some sort of unfriendly relationship with George, clearly has a few things to say. And Carter says probably one of my favorite lines in the story.
Would never leave Reach.
The big man was sentimental.
He gave his life thinking he'd just saved the planet. We should all be so lucky.
Which, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense as soldiers who essentially are dedicating their entire lives to the fight. The best way for them to die is thinking that they had just saved millions of people, especially for George considering Reach was his home, and for him to witness what it turned into only hours after his death would truly break him. George is the lucky one. He died with a smile on his face and pride in his heart, and the rest of the team who knows the truth won't be given that same outcome. Then we get this amazing and painfully short conversation between Kat and Carter. Kat's line feels very reminiscent about the whole theme of the entire game, in that it was over before it even started.
But this console's got more shrapnel in it than transceivers. You didn't answer my question.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost.
It's such a shame that we're not even given a few extra seconds for the player to realize what she's even saying, nor for Carter to make an actual response before an extremely important plot point happens in the cutscene. Colonel Holland is trying to get a line to Noble Team. In fact, if you pay attention, you can hear him say directly that he's authorizing a normally extremely illegal action, which is to contact UNSC personnel on a completely open channel. All throughout the game, there have been many parts and points where Noble Team has needed to communicate with someone, and so they must get a secure line. Whenever Carter needs to ask Colonel Holland something, he doesn't just wave his hands in the air and start talking. He usually waits for Kat to find a secure channel. In warfare, if you're not on a secure channel when communicating with your allies, not only can the enemy know immediately what you're talking about, but they can also track the locations of both the connectors. So generally, speaking communication on an open channel is never allowed due to the extreme risk that comes with it. But Colonel Holland, a UNSC admiral, is on an open channel, risking it all just to get Noble Team's attention. Something is extremely important, and this is why Carter takes the risk and picks up the line. While Carter is talking to Holland getting Noble Team's new mission, June notices how Covenant leave immediately around them. This is because the second Carter picked up the line, the Covenant knew exactly where they were and decided to glass the area. The moment that they do, Carter loses his connection to Colonel Holland and a radiation blast hits the tower. Noble Team all start flaring to the nearest shelter, and while on the elevator, Carter briefs the rest of the team about the mission, which we'll get into in a sec. As they run to the fallout shelter, Kat then gets sniped in the head by a phantom that was just so conveniently waiting in a perfect line of sight. There's a lot of theories about how this sniper was perfectly just waiting, and personally what I believe is that the Covenant knew that the Spartans would escape once the glassing radiation hit them, and so they just waited for their moment to strike. This is why instead of glassing the entire building, they only glassed near it to panic Noble Team. The sniper was then there waiting on a phantom and took the best shot he could. Something else I think a lot of people overlook is the fact that normally this shot wouldn't have been able to kill Kat. Spartan shields are strong enough to deflect a bullet of that kind, but due to the radiation blast, the shields were overburnt, and so the shot went straight through her armor. Noble Team then drags her body back into the shelter, and we're given a few seconds of just a pitch black screen to allow the player to process what the hell just happened. We then get this fucking gorgeous shot that again, thousands of players will remember forever. This game is truly a fucking masterpiece. As Carter mentioned in the previous cinematic, Noble Team's mission is to return to Oni Sword Base and destroy any intel that the Covenant might find, specifically the work of Dr. Halsey has been doing. This is the main mission that shows Reach's ability to tell a story environmentally, as we return to the exact same place that we did in the second mission, but it's completely different. It's been days of fighting and the map looks nothing alike now. The color palette between the two missions is completely changed. Half the map is flooded due to the melting glaciers caused by the Covenant's glassing of Reach, and of course all human life is completely gone from the base. During the Long Night of Solace, we actually get to see the exact moment where Oni Sword Base gets taken over by the Covenant. In this cutscene, the combat AI Dot tells George that Dr. Halsey could not have survived this encounter, and that she's guaranteed to be dead. But now, Noble Team has returned. Once inside Sword Base, Dot tells the team to head to these coordinates, but doesn't give any information about what they're doing there. She remarks to Emil that she doesn't even know what's going on. The coordinates turn out to lead to the same room that Dr. Halsey and Noble Team were in a few days before, but it's a dead end. Noble Team is very confused as to what they're doing, and why nothing is making sense. Then, a secret door opens up, and they continue deeper into the base. Turns out Dr. Halsey is alive, and she faked her death so that the Covenant would get off her back and keep her work secretive. Turns out that Oni's sword base is directly over a Forerunner site that Dr. Halsey and the rest of Oni have been excavating and researching. It's here where Dr. Halsey reveals that she's been working on an AI. This AI, of course, is Cortana. But as Halsey puts it, Cortana isn't just any regular combat AI. Cortana was built from a construct found in Forerunner tech that served as its custodian, and according to Halsey, she's humanity's best and last hope for winning the war. This is why she requested Noble Team and had everything be so secretive. If the Covenant knew anything about Cortana, they wouldn't stop until every single trace of her was destroyed. Halsey then gives Cortana to Six, not because she chose him, but because Cortana chose him. They then head out to some Pelicans, where Carter orders June to escort Dr. Halsey. June, understanding that Carter's order is essentially saving his life, he agrees and wishes Carter the best of luck. The other soldiers then hop in a separate Pelican, and the excavation site is blown up in another beautiful shot. As the remaining 3 members of Noble Team approach the Pillar of Autumn, their Pelican starts taking fire by pursuing Banshees. It becomes really clear that Carter has taken some serious hits and probably isn't going to make it out alive. That's why he orders Emil and Six to jump out, as he'll distract the pursuing Covenant and they'll have to make it to the rest of the journey on foot. They do so, and despite Six being a 1.5 ton chunk of metal rolling on top of this tiny glass container, he somehow doesn't break the Cortana chip. The duo then starts moving. On the way, they encounter Covenant, also heading towards the Pillar of Autumn. The ship is one of the very last ones on Reach, and the Covenant are determined not to let it leave. If you look in the background, you can see lineups of hundreds of destroyed ships, both UNSC military hardware and civilian evacuation ships, all destroyed. Millions of lives, both military and civilian. This really nails down a clear understanding of how much of a punch the UNSC has taken losing Reach. Like I said, it was their HQ, and other than Earth, the most secure human planet. For it to be lost in a span of weeks, it creates a sinking feeling of hopelessness for humanity that this game brings up at every corner, all in unique ways too. Almost at the ship, Emil and Six get cornered by a Scarab, and Carter, with his last breath, sacrifices himself for his team and allows them to keep moving on. Now leaderless, the duo then finally reaches the ship, and Captain Keyes, commander of the Pillar of Autumn, makes his way down to retrieve the Cortana chip. Emil hops on a MAC gun to provide air defense, and Six clears an LZ while waiting for Keyes. When Keyes finally arrives, Six successfully hands over the Cortana AI, and then my boy Emil gets straight up backstabbed. Except, like an absolute champ that he is, he swings over and kills the elite that just stabbed him, and then allows himself to die, only at his own will. With a Covenant battlecruiser approaching the Autumn hastily, Six has to use the MAC gun to push back the Covenant forces and buy Keyes enough time for his ship to successfully depart. In doing so, he essentially sacrifices himself as he watches the last ship leave Reach safely. He has completed his mission, and would unknowingly save humanity and the rest of the galaxy because of his and his comrades' actions. But the story isn't over yet, because Six is still alive, and he's still on Reach, so we get one more mission. After the credits, the players get treated to one final mission, named a Lone Wolf. Tying up loose ends and ending the game with a final gut punch to the player, this mission's objective is to just survive, which is incredibly ironic given how that's the one thing you literally cannot do. This is Six's last stand, and by the end he'll be just like all of his comrades on the ground. And like all Spartan, he dies doing the only thing he's good at, fighting. While playing this mission, as you get closer to death, Six's visor will actually begin to chip as one little detail to help you immerse the player in their grief. The amount of time this mission lasts is entirely up to the player and their skill, but the end is inevitable, and eventually every player is given this cutscene. The fact that Six's chip in his helmet actually overlaps into the cutscene is a really nice detail that smoothens out the transition from gameplay to cinematic. Even though, like I said, each player's time fighting varies, in canon people speculate that Six could have been fighting for around hours, which is why in the cutscene he looks so exhausted and dies in a way that we could easily expect a Spartan to get out of. I also respect that Bungie designed this cinematic without it showing Six's face while still maintaining the dramatic moment, as the whole point of his identity is that the player could imagine Six being anyone who they want him to be, and the fact that they're able to still give a great cinematic without ruining that experience is really smart. But with Six finally dead, he can join the rest of Noble Team, and I can finally talk about the main thing that inspired me to actually create this video. It was about my third or fourth playthrough of Halo Reach where I realized each member of Noble Team actually has an ironic death to their character. Just to list them all, George, the heavy weapons expert, dies in a giant explosion. And also the only Spartan too, he dies before he really gets to see the fall of Reach. By far the most technical, intelligent, and arguably the brains of the team, Kat gets shot through the brain in a well-coordinated attack on Noble that clearly took planning, something that she had done a time or two. She also caused her death by picking up the open channel and giving it to Carter. June, the only member of Noble Team that doesn't technically die, still could argue have had left the game in an ironic way because he leaves the planet not with Noble Team and with no Covenant knowledge of his existence. In a lot of ways how a sniper is supposed to act. They get in, they strike, and they leave before anyone notices. Carter, Noble Team's leader, dies in a way any great leader would, sacrificing himself for his team's safety and ensuring the completion of their mission. He's also piloting a Pelican, and like the saying goes, a good captain goes down with his ship. Emil is probably the only one where it gets a little bit less obvious, but for starters, he's clearly the close combat expert of the team and he gets killed with a blade through his back, a very, very close way to kill someone. He also makes comments about how he doesn't fear death and how he respects anyone who's willing to go out on their own terms, like he did with George. And in his last moments, he's clearly egging the Covenant on, asking them to bring him more of a fight. And Six, well, it's pretty obvious. Labeled as a lone wolf from the very beginning and told by Carter not to act like it as a Noble Team member, he ends up once again by himself and alone by the end of the game. and once he finally dies, we're given the exact same shot that we're given at the very beginning of the game. And with that, it feels like Lone Wolf, in one way or another, shows the main message of the entire game. The desperation and the feeling of continuing to fight, knowing you've already lost, is something that this game, and arguably only this game, captures so well, and at every turn, the writers continue to take losses outside of the player's control just to tug at their emotions. It is truly great writing. Halo Reach, in my opinion, is a fictional masterpiece in its writing. It develops brand new characters and the world that the player truly cares about, and once it has the player's interest, it grabs onto their emotions and pulls them in just the right ways. This game feels real, its characters feel real, its story feels real, and when you're playing through, you just can't help but feel sorrow for the hopelessness and depressed setting all around you. That is an experience that very few games are able to consistently give players. Interestingly, despite all that I have said for Halo Reach, it isn't even my favorite Halo game, both in terms of enjoyment and the story, but I do believe that Halo Reach's story is the best in the franchise, and is without a doubt forever in Gaming Hall of Fame as one of the best stories ever. And if you want to know why, well, just rewatch the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know what you thought about this video and my opinions on it. And if there's anything I missed that could further help me glaze this game, make sure to drop it down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching and have a good day.